Actually saw one of those that was nice and clean. It's made out of wood and like they use string, but it's not made out of string. It's actually made out of like if you use straw, that would have worked for that. And then that's for the stick. I don't know what that is for, but I know that the babies even had one. There was mini ones for babies. They used to put them in their cribs for boys, and if a girl held one,
It's a lacrosse stick.
they would be too strong. And you're correct. It's lacrosse. I don't know what these are, but I think they're for like eating. But they always kept a spoon with them. These are probably like little carriers where you would carry your food and stuff. And that white stuff with number 4 on it is probably like a corn carrier. And you put the corn in the little thing with the little holes. And also those things are not, I think those are made out of ribbon. I don't think they had ribbon when they were, when the Iroquois were good there. But like, these are moccasins. These are shoes. This is for little boys. Can I hold it? Those are like little things. These are like shoes. And that's a ball headboard club. You would smack it at somebody. And this over here is a bowl. That's very old, so it has good dots in it. And this is a spoon. They would use this for soup. And then this is a hat. That's what they would use for the belt. Oh, that was artwork temporarily. These are sculptures. They're people. So these now, this will start the soon it will be, I think Benjamin Bingo. I think soon it will be Benjamin Bingo. But, oh my lord. Cat and people go straight. Come with me and I'll show you some more art. This is a whole
air pushes its way out into our molten glass, giving us a hollow form that we can build on. Now, if we were making an ornament for you all here today, we would have plenty of material to work with, but it would make for an awfully fast show. So we're going to make something a little more impressive, if that's okay with all of you. Would you like to see something more impressive? Of course. Yeah?
Yeah!
So in order to make something more impressive, we need a little more material. Before we can get that material out of the furnace, however, we have to allow this layer of glass to cool down. So that's what Catherine's doing right now. She's cooling that glass down because we need it to be nice and sturdy so that when we add more material to it, it all doesn't just fall right off the end of the pipe. So we cool our glass down, we'll go into our furnace here, and I'm going to cue an animation up on our screens that will give you guys a really good insight into this process. Inside of that furnace, there's a big ceramic crucible that holds about 1,000 pounds of molten glass. To get the glass out of there, we dip beneath the molten surface and rotate in one direction to scoop up that glass.
And then you close it.
Fresh out of the furnace, we want to get all that glass organized. And to do that, we use wooden tools, believe it or not. Wooden tools that are saturated with water. So that tool is called a block, and it gives us a nice uniform shape, allowing us to kind of move that material where it needs to go. Another wood-based product that we can use is this flexible pad that she just picked up. Does anybody out there know what that's made out of?
Newspaper.
Newspaper, absolutely right. Do you know which newspaper we use?
New York Times?
1934. I heard New York Times out there. That'd be pretty fancy. We use the Corning Leader, though. We gotta keep it local, right?
We have fun.
We were wrong.
Whoa.
Now, the really nice thing about that newspaper pad is that it conforms to the palm of your hand, allowing you to shape the glass as though you were holding it. So it's the closest that we can get to affecting this material with our bare hands.
Well, it's too hot. You can't actually touch it.
Yeah, it is too hot. We wouldn't want to touch it. But you can see how she's able to push that glass around, getting it all nice and centered on the end of her pipe. She started to inflate the material using a auto-inflation system. There's a tube connected to the mouthpiece of that blowpipe. The tube is hooked up to an air compressor, which is regulated to just 1 psi, which is all it takes to blow out a candle. And everything on that is controlled by a foot pedal that's hidden behind the workbench. So as she taps on that foot pedal, she's inflating her glass. That auto-inflation system was something that we came up with when we had to wear our masks as a part of our uniform. We needed a way to continue working. So we came up with this system, and at first we all really didn't like it. We said, as soon as we can, we're going to go back to blowing glass the old-fashioned way. But here we are, after 2 years of using it, and we're not wearing masks, but we're still using that system. Because we kind of got used to it, and we discovered that it's actually a really handy tool. So Catherine can inflate and shape her glass all at the same time without needing to ask Helen to crouch down on her hands and knees on the other side of that workbench and blow into the pipe at Catherine's request. So it's a really useful tool.
Ooh.
So she's done quite a bit of inflation. She kind of shaped the sides of this bubble using the newspaper pad, giving it a cylindrical form. Here she's really focusing the heat just on the very bottom of this vessel. She can use gravity to help her stretch it out a little bit by tilting the pipe down towards the ground. She takes a pair of jacks, creating a little constriction in the base of our form. She's going to do some glass folding. So this is a Roman technique. If you go through our 35 centuries gallery today, you're going to see a lot of vessels that have this folded foot on the bottom of them. And this is exactly how they would achieve that. So using those jacks to fold that glass up. She also used the jacks to create a constriction earlier on in the process. The constriction separates the vessel that we're working on from the pipe that it's connected to. It's a structural weakness in our material that we can selectively cool down and allows us to break our vessel free when the time comes. And it's coming up right here in just a second. So Helen is preparing a secondary iron called a punty. This is going to be a temporary handle that we'll apply to the bottom of the form so that we have a way to hold on to it as we work on the opening of the vessel. Now this puntee has a little bit of glass on the end of it. The glass is going to act like a glue, holding the vessel to this new handle.
Whoa.
But it has to be added at just the right temperature. If you add it too hot, it'll be on there forever. If you add it too cold, it's not going to hold on at all. So she cools it down, she gives it a Q-tip profile. That will allow Catherine to make as much or as little contact with the bottom of her form as she wants. She takes it, she sticks it to the center of the bottom of the foot. These two turn back and forth together, ensuring that everything is running in a nice straight line with the blowpipe. And once everything's in just the right position and at just the right temperature, they'll utilize thermal shock, cooling the constriction at the top of the form to intentionally chill it down. A little bit of water will work really nicely for that. A light tap, and there we have it. Let's give these two a big round of applause for a job well done.
Good job!
Have any of you ever broken glass before? Quick show of hands. Thank you for your honesty. Did it break very nice into a nice clean line? No, right? It's really tricky to do. That's why we like to celebrate that. When you first start blowing glass, that's one of the most difficult parts of the process. And part of that has to do with the temperature of that handle that you apply to the bottom. If that's too cold when you stick it onto your piece, as you go to break it free from the blowpipe, it will break from both of them at the same time. When that happens, whatever you've been working on will fall down into this embarrassingly convenient bin right beside the workbench. Even more heartbreaking, though, is the other end of that spectrum. If that rod is applying too hot, you might make it through the entire forming process before you realize it. And when the time comes to break it off the bottom, it can be disastrous. It can cause whatever it is you've made to shatter into little pieces. Or if you're really lucky, it just takes a little hole out of the bottom of your vessel, and you're left with a planter that you didn't know you needed. So it's really a tricky maneuver to get down. But we have an awful lot of talent on our team, and these two ladies, they've both been working with glass for over 20 years. So they make a lot of this process look so easy, but it's not. It's a really tricky thing to do. Now, Catherine built up heat on the top of the form. She reached inside of it using those jacks and began to widen the opening. We have a great shape as is. She could leave it like that, but she's going to keep working on it, keep opening it. And I'll admit to you at this point, I'm not certain what our final form is, but Catherine knew what it was she wanted to make before she even started collecting glass out of the furnace. Working with glass is very much like playing a game of chess. If you want to be able to successfully make something, you need to know all the steps you want to take. You need to know how to distribute the glass at the beginning of the process. You want to know what tools you need to have out so you're not fumbling around looking for something while that glass is wiggling and wobbling around and getting out of control. Now, this view that we have inside of our reheating furnace, is anybody curious about that?
Is it a camera?
It's a view from a camera, but the camera's not inside of the furnace. It would melt if it was inside of the furnace.
It's on the outside.
It's on the outside, absolutely right. Now, what's really cool about that view is the camera's looking through a window. And I'm sure at this point we're all thinking, a window? But that's a glass melting furnace. How could a window possibly be in there? Well, there are thousands of different recipes of glass out there, and each of them have their own unique attributes. The window giving us the view inside of our furnace, it's made of a very special type of glass called fused silica. Fused silica doesn't start to melt until a temperature much closer to 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's perfectly comfortable in this 2,000 degree oven. Now, fused silica was invented in 1934 by Corning Incorporated. An organic chemist named Franklin Hyde was the one that discovered this high-fire glass. And it wasn't until the 60s that they even found a purpose for it, when NASA came to Corning looking for a material that they could use for the windshield on space shuttles. So that was its first practical application. We now use it to get this view inside of our furnace, and it also is a very optically pure glass, so it makes up the core for fiber optic cable. So you won't probably use it every day, whether you're sending text messages, emails, or maybe even binging your favorite glass blowing competition shows on Netflix. Well, let's catch back up with Catherine here. It looks like we did a little extra glass folding. She rolled the rim of the vessel back over onto itself, giving it a little extra thickness. It also creates a band of glass that will have a little more visual interest up at the top of the form. That's another Roman technique that you'll see if you go through our 35 Centuries gallery today. But it's also a really technically difficult move to do. Here she's getting that glass nice and hot. I think she'll use a little centripetal force to widen that opening just by turning a little faster. You see how we get that bell curve?
I think you guys are making a pot.
Oh, I know what we're making now.
We'll probably.
So she takes a wooden paddle, flattens the sides of that, so now we had a bowl, now it's kind of shaped like a taco.
No, they're making.
We're gonna make a Christmas basket. Isn't that exciting? What does our basket still need though?
It needs like a handle.
It needs a handle, exactly. That's what Helen's working on. So Helen's got some glass out of the furnace. She shaped it into a cylindrical shape. Glass has a very unique memory. If you cool down the surface of it and give it a particular shape, whether that's a square, a cylinder, it's gonna stay in that shape as you go to stretch it out. So we use that to our advantage a lot to shape handles into different forms. Now she also put that glass into an optic mold, kind of like the ones we have up here, to give it some texture, little ridges on the surface of our handle.
Whoa.
And then when she gets it just the right temperature, she'll bring it over to Catherine. And this is going to be a really neat move. So here we go. Got that hot glass. Catherine takes it, she sticks it down, stretches it out. She has Helen twist it so that our texture is now spiralized. And then brings it over to the other side. She'll cut it free. Now you can see how that handle is still wiggling around. So she can use a little gravity tilting it.
Why are there little bottles of water? Look, they're blowing the glass.
Yeah.
There's like one room and then actual glass. Look. Is this actual hot glass?
So the machine would take the hot glass and it would put it in the mold, and then it would come out
And then they would
and it
put
would
in here.
form it into a glass.
I get pictures from that. What the? Hey Hannah, go on the other side. I can see you. Make a face. Like, this is a big bottle of water. Like the face that I usually do. Like, make a face like, go back. Make a face like, go back. Mom, I can see a video. Put your nose up to it. Put your nose up. Look at this. This is what it looks like when you're. I can't touch it. I can't touch it. I can't eat it. I can't eat it.